welcome to an all-new edition of the Golden Standard, the official comic book review series of the Golden Age 1942, Blount County's #1 source for comics, gaming, collectibles, and so much more. We're located at 316 Court Street, across the street from the courthouse, in the historic WGAP radio building in downtown Maryville, Tennessee. Today we have a very special guest here on the Golden Standard. He's a local boy, originally from Knoxville, Tennessee, and just recently moved to Maryville. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Dudley. Andrew, thanks for coming out on the Golden Standard today.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Now, for those of you who don't know who this guy is yet, and I do mean yet, you're going to want to keep an eye on this guy because I'm telling you, it's not going to be long to where he's going to be taking off here pretty soon. You've already caught the attention of some current comic greats like Ethan Van Sciver, Joshua Williamson, Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder. You're a sculptor, you're an artist, you're a writer. You can see some of his paintings right here. He's a sort of a custom figure maker. These things are incredible. I'll kind of tell you a little bit about sort of what happened here. Perry and I were in the back of the store one day kind of going through some books, and David had a few of your figures back here. And the one that I noticed, if you want to bring up the Nightmare Batman figure, this is a custom figure. I noticed was this Nightmare Batman figure, and he's got sort of like the scarf around his face. And I collect some of these, and I was like, where did David get this? I don't remember them making anything like this. So come to find out, it was one of yours, and then David had like a whole slew of these in the back that he was going to put out in the display case, which we do have out front. If you're interested in checking out any of Andrew's art, if you're interested in purchasing any of it, we've got it in a display case out front. These are just fantastic, and if you don't mind talking about these for a little bit, what is the process of making a figure like this? How much time do you put into it? How long does it take to put one together?
I mean, it really all started with Dark Knight's Metal. I mean, I had done some of them prior to that, but when that story came out, I was like, I kind of want to be the first person to make these new villains, and show them to the world. So it all started with this guy right here, Red Death, and basically the process, I just try to go through and, because I don't really have all the tools or materials required to actually create the entire figure myself, as far as all the articulation, things like that. So try to pick a good base model, and then I go in and sand off or destroy any part of it that I don't need, and then I go through and start laying clay down on top of it. So this one, for example, his entire helmet basically is clay and sculpted there, and then the chest plate as well, all of that stuff. But then from like the feet up, that's just the normal base model figure, and after that, spray some primer on it, and then apply paints. And that one really probably only took about maybe an hour and a half total, but that was the second one that I had done. The first one took a bit longer. But then do you get them done in a day, or is it one of these things you kind of come to and you work on it for a little bit and then you? Yeah, it's kind of different with each one, really. Like the first one started with Red Death, and my wife was actually out of town on a business trip, so I was just bored at the house, and so I knocked that one out like immediately that day. Really, the longest part was just waiting for the paint to dry. But then you got this guy, the Devastator here. He obviously took a lot longer than an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I probably worked on him for maybe 2 or 3 hours a week for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, because he's got a lot of sculpt work, and all of the little markings up and down his body are actually hot glue. Mm-hmm. So I sculpted with hot glue on this one, and all of the stones and the jagged edges, those are actual pieces of slate stone that I broke up with a hammer and applied. So I use random objects to add detail. It's all in the details. So
you were telling me earlier that like your wife, she'll try to throw something out. You're like, no, I can use that for later.
I can use it. That's gonna be some sort of material for an art project soon. Promise.
I mean, that's like a true artist, man. You see something there that nobody else sees, and sure enough, I mean, look at this. This is I mean, this is probably one of the best figures I've ever seen. Like, you don't see anything like this.
I appreciate it
out there, looking really good. What can you tell us about the Batman Who Laughs?
Yeah, this guy, he actually was the second one. That's kind of when I decided, I might as well do the whole series of villains if I'm going to do this first one here. So, and I just love that character. From the first image I saw that Scott and Greg put out of that, I was just like, oh yeah, man, that is creepy and awesome.
Yeah.
So, he actually didn't take that long either. But I did use some kind of random objects to assist on here. Like his little spikes are actual nails that I trimmed and glued on there. He actually has a hex wrench as his crowbar there, but not a lot of sculpt work on him. I just kind of used, he's got rubber bands there for the belts, and I used a lot of random objects to create that one. So, and then underneath is just a really old Joker toy. I just took the bottom part and then put everything on top of him.
These are customized figures, right? These are ones that you kind of added to, painted to a little bit. This was the first one that I noticed early. When I said Perry and I were in the back, kind of looking through the figures. Well, one of the first, I noticed the Nightmare Batman, and then the Court of Owls owl right here. I mean, just I don't know, man. Like. So what you do here, you paint these, or how you just kind of make them look how you want to look, or?
Yeah, with these two, I actually there wasn't any sculpt work done on these. These are just more kind of, I wanted to paint them to make them look more realistic, because when these things roll out of the factory, the paint jobs are always pretty mediocre.
Yeah.
So, but I did
production.
Exactly.
Limits the.
Yep. So I did add the cape and like the cloth work and all of that to make it look a little different, but overall these two are just kind of the normal thing, just different paint job on top of it.
Yeah. No, I love it. I mean, it looks incredible. I love especially the cloth capes. I mean, that's being somebody who collects action figures. A lot of the multiverse figures and some of the figures that come out nowadays. The capes are always like it's like the plastic, or it's the
weird rubber.
Yeah, the weird rubber, or it's or it's a cloth, but it's just like a little strip. Like they don't like. I mean, these capes. I mean, you took some time into customizing. Like I mean, his cape is like
frayed a little bit.
You've got you've got a little bit of blood on it. Just the detail that goes into this stuff is just really pleasing to me as a fan. So,
well, awesome. Yeah, that's what I do it for.
So I want to talk a little bit about your background as an artist. How long have you been doing this? Did you go to school for any of this? Did you take any classes, or are you sort of a self-taught man, so to speak?
Yeah, didn't really have any classes. I mean, I've always been creative and loved art in general and comics from an early age, but never really took any classes for anything, just kind of did my own thing, and I've really just kind of been that way since I was a kid, I guess. Yeah. Just always creative, trying to paint, draw, sculpt, do anything in the creative realm. So
yeah,
been like that for, I'm 32 at this point, so quite a while.
Quite a while. I think it's interesting that you didn't take any classes or anything. I think some of the best art comes from, I guess, sort of that self-exploration. You just kind of go out there into it, and you express yourself in a way that it's just honest. It's honest to how you feel. It's honest to your perception and the way you perceive the world and whatnot. So that's really cool. Really cool.
Forge your own path,
Yes, forge your own path. Forge your own path, folks. So you're obviously a comic book lover. I mean, I know for a lot of us that begins at childhood. Where did that start for you, Andrew? Where did that all begin?
My love for comics really started when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. My Uncle John let me borrow a copy of Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. Yeah. And I read it and pretty much just never left Gotham after that. Yeah. It's pretty much a a second home at this point. So I just love that story, and that's really the catalyst to everything as far as my love of comics and wanting to pursue a career in comics. So it all kind of started there.
Yeah. I've seen on some of your social media and whatnot, you're a big fan of DC, and a lot of that is reflected in your work. What is it that draws you towards these characters the most, as opposed to Marvel and any other sort of universe?
I think it all kind of goes back to The Dark Knight Returns. I loved how dark and gritty, and I love the realism in the story versus some of the more supernatural things. I mean, my favorite comic book character has always been Batman, and I love that because of the realism. Most of his villains are not, supernatural or anything. Yeah, of course there are some, but at the bottom of every good Batman story is really just a solid true crime detective kind of story, and I've always been drawn to that.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything against Marvel. I like some Marvel characters, but I'm a Batman fan and a DC fan, and I just love that side more, I guess. Not to really pick a side in the war, but I've just always kind of leaned more heavily towards that side. So.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier, how, because I was the same way. That's where I really got into it, was with DC, and you tend to stay, whatever ignited the flame to begin with, that sticks with you for the rest of your life. So, and it's no doubt done with you, and spawned this incredible, these incredible projects that you've been working on. Artistically, who are your biggest influences?
Man, that's a good one. I mean, I love, as far as writers, I love Frank Miller. I enjoy Scott Snyder's work a lot. Artist, Greg Capullo is just insane. Mm-hmm. He's phenomenal. And Jonathan Glapion is probably the best inker in the entire universe, in my opinion. He's awesome. But, yeah, I mean, there's too many to name, really. There's so many good, talented artists and writers with DC right now, and Marvel too. I mean, there's a lot of people at the top of their game right now. Now, in one of your most recent interviews, it was revealed that you've actually written your own Batman story. And I don't know why I know a little bit about this, but I'm gonna let Andrew tell you all, if he will, about his own original Batman story he has planned. I'm just going to tell you this. It's blow your face off awesome. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. Can you tell us anything about it? Or It's not finished yet. I can tell you that. I've been working on it for a long time. My wife's been super supportive and, kind of pushing me towards that goal and really that dream. I've always wanted to write my own Batman story, so... But other than just saying I'm going to write a Batman story and then I'm going to turn it into a comic book myself and do everything myself on it, that's really all I can say at this point.
That's all I can give you. And I can tell you, I mean, I'm a huge Batman fan. Obviously, you said the Batman is is your favorite character of all time. So I trust that whatever you do with the character is going to come from a place of honesty and come from somebody who's going to do it justice. So really
I appreciate it.
Really looking forward to that. Can you give us a time frame, how much further along, or?
I don't really know, to be honest. I'm almost done with the writing phase. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to write all of it, finish all of that, all the dialogue and all of that stuff, and then go back and panel by panel, set it all up. The way I'm doing the art in it is pretty unique, I think. Yeah. So it's going to take a while to get that done, but hopefully it'll be really cool when it's finished. So.
That's right. You can't rush perfection. Good things take time. So this is it's going to be definitely something that's going to take some time. We can't wait to see more of your work here at the Golden Age. Something else I wanted to ask you, as an artist and writer, have you ever created any of your own original work or any of your own original characters? And if not, have you ever thought about, putting those into a comic form, or even better, like bring them to life in action figure form?
Yes, actually, going back to the Batman story, it's obviously not going to be set like in the current comic timeline. It's kind of an Elseworld story, so it's my own take on all of the characters, and I've created a villain myself for it, and so I'm sure I'll do a figure of that person when the time comes.
Oh my gosh, you've got to.
But yeah, so with all of my ideas for the Batman story, I did create a lot of original characters that I hope people will be terrified of.
Yeah. So are you working on any other projects currently other than the Batman story? Are you working on any other figures or?
So I did finish all of the villains from Metal, which you can see on my Instagram page and Twitter. But I do think I'm going to do Barbados from that story. And then other than that, just working on the Batman story and finishing it and finishing the comic and getting that out there.
Oh, awesome. Well, Andrew, thanks for coming out, man. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Come by and see us anytime here at the Golden Age. Like I said, Andrew's artwork is going to be on display up front for a month. We will put a link in the comments of this video to Andrew's Twitter and his Instagram account, and you can check out. I mean, he's got tons of pictures of all of his work on there, and it's incredible. You've got to check this guy's work out. All right, my name's Chuck, and Andrew Dudley here for another edition of the Golden Standard, the official comic book review series of the Golden Age 1942. If you have any questions for Andrew, leave them in the comments and ask him some questions. I'm sure you'll keep track of it. He'll get back to you and try to answer them for you, except for questions about the Batman story, which we couldn't get out of Andrew today. But that's okay. It's gonna be worth the wait. Like I said, I've seen he showed me a little bit of it, and it was enough to almost make me cry. So it's gonna be awesome, folks. So you just gotta wait, like we all do. But Andrew, thanks
soon
again.
enough.
Yeah, soon enough. Andrew, thanks again for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
All right, until then, guys, have a great week. We'll see ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.